Hi everyone, I'm Jacob. I'm the CowHatLibrarian, and I was sitting awkwardly in anticipation of talking about this one. Enlighten Me by Minh Lê and Chau. Our main character, Bin, is heading off with his family. They're heading to a special Buddhist retreat where they're going to remain silent, completely silent, for a handful of days on this retreat, while he and his sisters learn more about Buddhism and Buddhist teachings. And as the story starts, they're heading off to the retreat and they're talking in the car, and he's trying to ignore everyone and play his Game Boy. When they get there, a couple of the people working at the retreat talk to them, tell them stories about Buddha and how to apply his teachings to their lives. While his sisters and parents seem to be getting a lot out of it, it's not easy for Bin. Because just before this retreat, something bad happened at school. Bin was picked on for being Asian. Kids in his school were making fun of how he smelled and made a joke about a pet cat and that he'd eaten it. And Bin was fed up. He'd had enough of his heritage and his culture being attacked, and he knocked the bully down and got in trouble for it. Big trouble. And the end result was he and his family attending this retreat. Over the course of things, Bin learns some lessons and learns about Buddha and has his sisters reaching out to him. And finally, over the course of things, can take the time for himself and take the quiet and solitude he's offered and really think about who he is and where he is and what he's done. And it ends up being a really big experience for him. In the end, in fact, he has a vision where he meets the Buddha and a bunch of animals around a tree. And in a very funny moment, he asks, well, does this mean I'm enlightened now? And the Buddha and everyone else just laughs at him and says, no, this is just a dream. But he takes inspiration from it. That he can find peace, that he can find enlightenment, that he can be the most wonderful version of Bin he can be. And it's just a very nice story. I know nothing about Buddhism beyond the bare basics. In the course of reading this, I got to hear a few stories about Buddha and how things have been taught, and I found myself learning a lot and wanting to read more about it. Bin's journey from a angry kid who's understandably frustrated about his treatment at school and annoyed with his parents to a slightly quieter, slightly more contemplative version of himself. This graphic novel is the equivalent of the walk softly and carry a big stick. It doesn't beat you over the head with its story. It doesn't send waves of imagery and stuff at you. It doesn't demand that you pay attention. But if you take a quiet hour and read it and give it some attention, I think you're going to get a lot out of it the same way I did. The quietness and learning to see themselves and a little bit of communication, that feels a lot like Minh Lé's book Drawn Together, where a young boy and his grandfather bond over art. I might also suggest, and this is getting to be a go-to, Mexikid, the graphic novel by Pedro Martin, about a young Mexican-American boy who travels with his family to Mexico to help his grandfather rebury his grandmother and bring his grandfather back with him. The segments in that story about, connecting more with the Mexican side of his heritage in one way or another. There's some neat parallels between that and this. I recommend this. Go borrow it from your public library. I don't think you'll be disappointed. On that note, if you use and appreciate the services offered by your public library, why not take just 1 minute and tell the powers that be exactly that? Tell your mayor, tell a council member, tell an MP or MLA that you use and appreciate the services offered by your public library. We're at a time where some public libraries are having trouble finding sustainable funding for the materials, programs, and services they offer. And a few good words in the right ears might make a world of difference. If, by some chance, you're a library staff member, don't forget, watching my videos counts as professional development time. With that, thanks for listening to me talk about how wonderful and quiet this book is. By all means, please like, please subscribe, and please check back to see what else I have to talk about from the CowHat Library. Thank you. Bye now.